What you're looking at isn't a sculpture, it's a human being. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, and today we're talking about the look that stopped the entire internet at the 2026 Met Gala. Heidi Klum as a living marble statue. The theme this year was Fashion is Art. Most people wore something inspired by art. Heidi Klum became art. Created entirely by Oscar-nominated prosthetic makeup artist Mike Marino, this look was inspired by two of the most breathtaking sculptures ever carved from marble: the Veiled Vestal by Raffaele Monti and the Veiled Christ by Giuseppe Sanmartino, completed in 1753. Both pieces are famous for one impossible illusion: stone that appears transparent, a solid veil that looks like it could flutter in the wind. Sculptors of the 1800s were obsessed with this technique, and for good reason. It defied everything stone was supposed to be. Now here's what blows my mind. Marino began with a full 3D scan of Heidi's body. He then sculpted every fold, every crease, every shadow, using latex and spandex, so the finished look would move flawlessly on a living, breathing person. Heidi called it a piece of fine art reimagined in motion. Is it the best-dressed look of the night? Let's be honest, the internet is divided. Some critics say this is just Heidi doing what Heidi always does, a Halloween costume in a fashion space. They argue the Met Gala is about fashion design, and this look has no designer, no house, no creative director behind it. Just a makeup artist and a foam suit. One side says, it's impressive, but it isn't fashion. But here's the other side. The dress code literally asked guests to illuminate the connection between clothing and the body, and no one on those steps did that more literally or more brilliantly than Heidi. The craftsmanship was indeed creative. The concept was rooted in art history, and she made people stop, stare, and question what they were seeing. Isn't that exactly what great art does? I get it, it might take some getting used to embrace the look, but it's still good art nonetheless. However, best dressed? You can argue that forever, but a masterpiece? Undeniable. Because on a night where fashion and art were supposed to become one thing, Heidi Klum didn't just show up wearing that idea. She was that idea. Let's hear from the designer and his muse how the look was conceptualized and brought to life.
What I could do for this Met Gala, we immediately spoke about sculptures. There was one sculpture, and in fact Heidi had this sculpture called the Veiled Virgin or Veiled Vestal by Raffaele Monti. So we both thought it was perfect. So Heidi will be a living version of a sculpture right at the steps of the most amazing museum in New York and one of the most amazing museums in the world.
I had to get my nails done, chop, chop, chop. Normally I don't have nails that short.
So we start this process by 3D scanning Heidi Klum's entire body. And based on that scan, we sculpt the design with all the folds and fabric and all of these things. And we go through a very lengthy technical process, much the same as the classical artists did at the time if they were making a bronze or making a marble. We're just using a little bit more advanced materials.
My face will still look like my face, no?
Yeah, it does. It looks like you.
Yeah, it looks like me, no?
It's like a smoothed out version.
I like smooth out version. Maybe we just keep...
Since we have heard from the designer and the muse, now let's talk about the originals for a moment, because understanding what she was channeling makes this even more extraordinary. The Veiled Vestal was carved in 1847 by Italian sculptor Raffaele Monti, commissioned by a British duke who simply walked into his studio and asked for a veiled woman in stone. What Monti delivered defied everything marble was supposed to be. He carved the veil from solid Carrara marble, 3 separate blocks, assembled piece by piece, and made it look transparent. The second inspiration, the Veiled Christ by Giuseppe Sanmartino, 1753. A marble shroud draped over the body of Christ after the crucifixion, so impossibly lifelike that people believed it was made through alchemy, that a real cloth had been turned to stone. So, did Heidi honor these works? We think, yes. If everyday wearable outfit, then certainly no, Sue. But as an art? Absolute yes. In any event, most of the other guests didn't have outfits that could be worn elsewhere apart from the Met Gala. The 2026 Met Gala theme asked one question: where does fashion end and art begin? Most guests answered with a dress. Heidi chose to answer this with her entire body. The boundary between clothing and sculpture, between wearer and artwork, between the living and the immortal. She erased all of it. That is the theme, answered perfectly. Now I need to hear from you. Do you think this was the best dressed look of the night? Or just the most unforgettable one? Is body art fashion? Or does fashion need a designer's name attached to it to count? Drop your take in the comments. I read every single one. If you're new here, this is what we do. We go deep. We go beyond the red carpet photo and into the history, the craft, and the argument. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Leave a like if this gave you something to think about, and share it, because this look deserves more than a scroll past. We are just getting started.